Yo, what's up, guys? I really want to make this video. I want to talk about the developer notes for Nikke. I think these are probably the most important developer notes this 20th edition because it finally recognizes that Nikke shift up. They've been listening. I made a video about Nikke revenue a couple months ago. I'll link it at the end of this video. But they had to answer to investors talking about, hey, why did money dip on this month and things like that. And they basically mentioned how they've been listening to surveys in general. And if you guys haven't noticed, the past 2, maybe 3 months, they've released like over 4 or 5 surveys. And they are taking all that into consideration. So I really want to talk about this because it's pretty important. So let's just go over everything. So real quick here, they're looking into revamping the union rate. So they talk about how union rate is typically basically who beats it the quickest, right? But now they want to change it to where union rate will be divided into a normal difficulty one day and then the next day a hard difficulty. But that hard difficulty, that will require a lot of strategic planning, right? So union rates or unions that complete normal difficulty will compete in the hard difficulty the next day. Hard difficulty will require strategic planning, emphasizing how efficient commanders from each union allocate their Nikke and are also collaborative. So cool. Okay, so a new fresh look on union raids. I think this will be a little bit more fun, right? Instead of just, okay, make sure you do this as quick as possible, at least for the people that are actually competing top 100, top 200, right? So that's good. Now, next page. They talk about an update on, oh, hang on. So this revamp for union rate is scheduled at the end of December as part of the New Year update. So this is actually coming up, right? This will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Now, update on championship arena development. This is pretty important, like I said, because they actually tell you that championship arena is going to be compromised of you competing using 5 squads. They also talk about how they've dedicated servers to this too. So we understand that many commanders who enjoy arena content have high expectations for this feature, and we're committed to delivering a high polished gaming experience. The development of Champion Arena has been completed and dedicated server equipment has already been installed. And then they talk about like having some issues, so they're conducting additional inspections before they release it. But as a result of that, it's going to be delayed. So they say during a final testing, we identified a challenging issue where loading delays occur in specific countries. So they're essentially doing a bunch of things to address the problem. They initially planned to release in 2024, but it's been delayed. So 2025, I'm guessing early 2025. You know, it is what it is. However, I am glad that they at least gave us an idea. It's going to be most likely you fight anyone from anywhere. You have 5 Nikke squads like that you probably set up. At first I thought it would be like live, like as in, I don't know if you guys have played Epic 7, but you pick a character, the other person picks a character. I thought it would be something like that, but it's probably going to be pre-selected squads, and then I think you just watch the fight live. I don't know, we'll see, but at least we finally know and have an idea of what it could be. However, I do think my problem with champion or arena content is that it's whoever bursts first seems to win. But we'll see how this goes, right? Good stuff either way. Now, some really important stuff here. So let's just go over other content update. Alongside the Union Raid revamp, we aim to further enhance the gameplay experience of coordinated operations in 2025. So co-op, holy crap, making it more refined and enjoyable. Huge, because I actually dread co-op. I really dread co-op so much. It's so boring. It's become so monotonous, so I'm glad they're actually doing things to address this. In addition, we plan to introduce new content, including the Champion Arena and surface-based content. Details about the 2025 content development plans will be shared at the next developer note. So, this surface-based content, I guess it'll have, in the story, right, like we're kind of, I won't spoiler too much here, but I guess, it's not a big deal. But in the story, there's stuff related to the surface, so I guess that's where the surface-based content is going to be coming around. We'll see what that's about. Also, they talk about revamping various content. A convenience update is scheduled for January to streamline the simulation room solo raid, and daily missions, ensuring that the gameplay experience does not become overly burdensome. Guys, this to me is the most important part in all the Nikke updates that we've ever had. Dailies have become such a chore. You can try and say, oh, but it's not that bad. No. Dailies for Nikke, especially when you're doing Union Raid, you're doing Solo Raid, you're doing Co-op, you're doing Event Story. It it gets to the point where you spend a lot of your time on this game, and like I said, it becomes monotonous. It becomes very boring, and it's hard to enjoy a game that takes up so much of your time. Girls Frontline 2 just came out, and I can be done with Girls Frontline 2 in 2 minutes. Nikke consistently, and this is if you're somebody that logs in every day, you can do your best to speed run it, but you have to go through a bunch of loops to speed run the game. You shouldn't have to do that. Nikke dailies should be 3 minutes tops, and I 100% mean that. Spending all that time doing those things that can be streamlined so quickly with some sweeps would be huge. So this January streamline update is going to be their most important update ever. The quality of life, I'm hoping, is going to be a just it's going to be huge. That's what all I'm hoping for. I will, if this happens and it's great, I will the amount of complaints I'll have about Nikke will go down significantly. I will never talk shit on Nikke except when it comes to like random shit that they do that still needs to be changed. But this would be huge for me. Okay. So, collaboration events. I want to actually talk about this. So, over the past 2 years, we've collaborated with various esteemed works. We've gained valuable insight alongside you commanders. Through surveys, we've identified a notable difference between works that commanders like and those they wish to see in our collab with Nikke. Taking this into account, we are planning future collabs to align better with your preferences and deliver even greater satisfaction. And then they talk about, you know, just keep in mind that collabs typically require a year of contractual agreements in prep, involving highly complex procedures. So essentially, give them some time because they want to deliver something high quality. So they want a more refined partnership framework and deliver high quality collabs. Now, this is actually, again, if you check out my video talking about Nikke revenue, they actually mention in that video that a lot of people did not like the Evangelion collab. And it was mostly due, and they were answering to advanced investors. It was mostly due to the characters, right? They weren't, to put it very bluntly, they weren't attractive enough. They weren't sexy enough like they kind of ask in the surveys. So they're taking that into account. Not only that, the survey answers that they've gotten from the Eva collab and also just their characters in general. And they're just going to do, and I'm hoping this is what they're going to do. They're going to do stuff that makes sense for Nikke, right? Like, even though Evangelion's great, that's not what most players are looking for in Nikke. They're looking at High School DxD. They're looking at like High School of the Dead. They're looking at like Eminence in the Shadow. Like, all people want is just really hot characters that make sense for the collab. They don't want Jujutsu Kaisen, right? They don't like it because I've seen that. They don't want like Naruto. Like, no, that's not what we want. We don't want JJK. That's not it. Right? They want it to make sense with the fan service aspect of Nikke. So yeah, that's huge on their part to actually recognize. Now another big thing is the reruns here. So they have the okay, real quick, just to preface this, a lot of people have been very upset over the Winter Rupee and Anne Miracle Fairy and them basically not being announced for reruns. However, they have something planned for those characters and other characters in the future. So I'm just going to summarize this. For first reruns, season limited characters will have their first rerun 1 year after their initial release. And then after subsequent reruns, we plan to provide additional opportunities to obtain characters through continuous reruns. So this is pretty huge because this prevents FOMO. However, these reruns may take place during special events unrelated to the season. Details will be shared through announcements closer to the rerun dates. For those waiting for reruns of Rupee and we kindly ask for your patience. So they're going to have separate special events for these reruns. So that's huge. So for those that may be afraid that Annis may not rerun or other characters may not rerun, we finally have an answer to how they're going to do it. They're going to be in a special event where you have the opportunity to get them. So that's cool. And then last but not least, they reflect on the second anniversary. They basically give their thoughts on it. So we'd like to share some sincere and perhaps slightly personal insight about the mindset that the team had for Second Annie. And let me go ahead and get page 5 here. So real quick. So since the launch, we have been deeply grateful to receive the love and support more than we've ever anticipated. While we express our gratitude countless times through words and messages, they still cannot fully convey the depth of our appreciation. So because of that, you know, high praise and sentiment, the Second Annie ran into some stressfulness from the devs, right? So they talk about here, and I'm just going to skip this because it's a little bit of fluff right here. We thought we had to make the first anniversary better than the half anniversary, 1.5 better than the first, and second anniversary better than 1.5. However, this mindset led us to take on too much for the Second Annie, which I think a lot of people can agree, because they've talked about how they were so overloaded they had to delay Championship Arena, resulting in a workload that became overwhelming. Consequently, various issues arose, including Cinderella, which was pretty bad because they had to essentially just give us, they basically had to redo the solo raid, right? So Cinderella's shooting mechanics not aligning with all her core designs, bugs with the pause function, and convenience issues in the minigame. And that convenience issue was big. A lot of people talked about how the minigame was kind of a lot. It was great. Sure, the minigame was very, you know, it was very broad. It was definitely something new that they've done, but it was a little bit too much for players. Now, I didn't really play it too much. I played it for about like 30 minutes, but I could definitely tell that there's a lot of shit that you have to do, and it definitely was like a game within a game, and it takes up a lot of time. And I think the convenience word here is the key thing. Like, it's, at the end of the day, it's a mobile game. We're not trying to spend all our time on this. Most people maybe want to spend not too much time on their phone. So the convenience issue is definitely huge, and I'm glad that they recognize it for this minigame and others. It is my responsibility to appropriately plan and develop workload and schedule to ensure a stable environment, and for the issues that arose, I sincerely apologize. In particular, we are unable to identify the accounts that exploited the pause function bug. So that's pretty crazy, but I think they've recognized, like, they can't stress themselves out, and they just need to focus on what players like and not try to outdo themselves. As long as you give us characters that people will want, you'll give us a Pilgrim, you'll give us Pulls, everybody will be fine. But yeah, that's really about it. Like I said, my biggest thing is page 3, where we're getting a convenience update in January. That's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to the most, and best believe I will be doing a video on that specifically. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. How do you feel about these developer notes? And yeah, I'm gonna stop yapping. Later.